Hello. By the mid-16th century, the Renaissance's rediscovery of Greek mathematics, particularly the principles of geometry outlined in Euclid's Elements, had generated a widespread interest in the production of land surveys and maps. In England, this was exacerbated by a desire on the part of landowners to capitalise on the effects of the dissolution of the monasteries. In this edition of Heritage Highlights, with me, Chris Tracy, Archive Specialist at Norfolk Heritage Centre in the Norfolk and Norwich Millennium Library, I'm going to examine a fascinating product of this era of cartographic advance, and a real jewel within the Heritage Centre collections: William Cunningham's 1558 map of Norwich. The earliest surviving printed map of a provincial English town, and created using the then novel technique of triangulation, Cunningham's depiction is not what many of us today would understand to be a map at all, being a west to east aligned view of the city. To the left, Norwich over the water extends to the northernmost stretch of the medieval city wall, while windmills are shown looking down from the edges of Mousehold Heath on the eastern side of the city. It is beautifully, if not entirely accurately, drawn. Landmarks familiar to 21st century visitors, including the cathedral, the castle, and the great hospital, can be easily discerned. However, while the general layout is clearly depicted, the absence of buildings such as St. Lawrence's Church and the Guildhall undermined Cunningham's claims to accuracy, as do other apparent errors. The line of Pottergate, for example, is similarly entirely missing. Nevertheless, for over a century, Cunningham's depiction remained the standard to which other map makers, including John Speed, turned for the basis of their efforts, making few alterations to the details shown within the walls. To the modern viewer, features contained in areas of open space add considerably to the map's charm. The aforementioned windmills on Mousehold, for example, and, outside the walls on the opposite side of the city, towards the map's bottom right-hand corner, a shepherd tending his flock, with his crook over his shoulder and his sheepdog at his side. Another wonderful detail is the depiction of archery taking place amidst cattle apparently wandering about in Chapelfield, just inside the walls on the right-hand side. Cunningham's map was first published as a fold-out in his 1559 treatise on surveying, The Cosmographical Glass, of which a copy, unusually complete with the map, can be found in Norfolk Heritage Centre's Coleman collection. Its full title is The Cosmographical Glass, containing the pleasant principles of cosmography, geography, hydrography, or navigation. Here, along with the title page, we see the book's author portrait, which shows Cunningham appropriately staring off into the distance as he rests his right hand on a globe. Symbolic, not just of the nature of Cunningham's ambitions with this work, but of the era of exploration more generally, and its preoccupation with the wealth, power, and status potentially bestowed by increased knowledge of the world. Thank you for watching this edition of Heritage Highlights, and join me next time when I'll be looking at another example of some of the fantastic items to be found in the Norfolk Heritage Centre collections.